I'm up here at the Griffith Observatory in LA, and I've just watched a show at the planetarium which reminded me of my planetarium visit from 4 years ago in Europe at the Palace of Discovery, the Palais de la Découverte in Paris. And that was such an amazing moment for me, and I want to tell you why. Because I had been traveling around Europe. I went to Italy, and I went to the Vatican, of course, and I went to a lot of churches, and I saw a lot of museums, and I saw a lot of art, and after a while it just gets to be too much, maybe. I mean, I saw these mummified popes, and I don't know what it is, but I just don't like looking at mummified people. All these ornate ceilings and all these painted artworks, all these gilded everything statues. I mean, it was incredible, but I guess just a bit overwhelming. So I went to one church and I saw an exhibit, a special exhibit about Galileo, and I thought, isn't this great? They had a lot of his science up, they had pictures of dropping objects of different weights on the moon, they had pendulums, balls rolling down ramps. I thought, this is great, and I would really love to embrace it, except one thing that they didn't have any mention of was the fact that they persecuted him. You know, they said that Galileo was a great and pious man and a fantastic Catholic hero, which may well be true, but why not mention also that there's a dark part of this history? The fact that he was stopped from publishing his documents, that he was locked away in his house where he went blind and had to rely on an assistant to make his observations of the night sky. That is something that they didn't talk about. And I felt like in 2009 we should be able to admit the wrongdoings of the past. You know, the fact that Galileo was persecuted, we should admit that, and we should apologize. I don't think that anyone believes in any kind of propaganda. It just really upset me to see those untruths put forward for people to walk through and look at as if they were real scientific exhibits. It's a bit obvious why they would want to hide those kind of truths, but I just feel like you have to be able to come clean. Otherwise, how do you ever move on? It's 2009. It's like 400 years after these atrocities were committed against Galileo. So I was really upset about seeing all this propaganda in the church. And then I went to Paris, and I went to the Palais de la Découverte, the Palace of Discovery, and I walked into their planetarium, and the lights dimmed, the ceiling went dark, and I just breathed in and felt like I was in the right place, because on the ceiling were projected these positions of all the stars and planets, and the real knowledge that we had worked really, really hard to gather. That was the real legacy of Galileo's work, and it was on display there, so clearly, without pretense, without gilding it or saying any sort of flowery phrases about it. There was no propaganda, there was just fundamental truths displayed on the ceiling and clearly narrated, and I just loved it. I felt like all of a sudden I was in my element. I was in a place that just made me feel at home. So my recommendation is go to a planetarium and go look at the stars out in the middle of nowhere. Now, I met up with a couple people up here, so I want to say thank you for trekking all the way up to this Griffith Observatory to meet me, and hopefully there will be more meetups to come. I will be posting information about that on Instagram and Twitter, so please follow me on those sites if you wanna say hi at some point. All right, that's all for now. Goodbye from LA.